Hello everyone, this is part 16 of What If Naruto Was Adopted in a Good Home, and I hope you guys enjoy this video and to like, to subscribe, to share, and check out the playlist, to see more comment down below. Now let's start the intro.
They call me a god. They call me a god. They call me a god.
Join my membership, the perks are great. It's in the description. Be sure to like and subscribe, it gives me more motivation. Enjoy. A fire crackled as the branch snapped from the heat. It was a low flame, built in a hole in the ground to keep visibility at a minimum. A chicken was roasting merrily, despite the tense atmosphere. Hey, Ero Sennen, wouldn't it be more efficient to have this line go this way? The aging legend leaned over to look at his student's scroll. He shook his head. It would activate faster, but the seal would be at least twice as unstable. You wouldn't have to work as hard to get it to seal, but you'd end up fighting to keep it contained. Naruto frowned and looked at the scroll again. I still don't see it. Jiraiya snatched the scroll away from his student and marked it with a few deft strokes. It's the same reason you don't invert the strokes in an explosive tag. See? He asked, shoving the scroll back under Naruto's nose. I've told you 100 times that this is just building on what you already know. If you don't get that, there's no point in me teaching you this. You keep saying that, but it doesn't make sense. I was able to alter the standard lines on that seal last week, so if I'm just building on what I already know, why are you keeping me from doing it here? I just told you, you'd end up blowing your hand off trying to contain the energy. The reason you could alter the seal last week was because it didn't gather any ambient energy, it only used what you initially put in it. This seal draws power from everything around it, and changing those lines removes too much of the constraining influence from the seal. Jiraiya sighed and put the scroll down. We'll stop here for the night. The chicken's almost done anyway. Naruto nodded and inked the basic nullifying seal Jiraiya had taught him in the corner of the scroll. Even if the seals weren't charged, the nullifying seal would lower the chance of it going off accidentally to almost zero. Jiraiya and Naruto were quiet as they ate the dinner. A year and a half ago, Naruto would have been chattering endlessly, but after 18 months of traveling, they were able to go about their business without talking, only really requiring conversation during training or when they discussed mission specifics. Which was just as well, considering they were deep in Lightning Country. Relations between Konoha and Kumo were falling apart once more, and Jiraiya and Naruto had been sent in to gather information on Lightning Country's internal situation. The Lightning Daimyo and Raikage had a history of animosity, and if Konoha could exploit that, war could be prevented for another year or so. Not much time, but with the trouble Orochimaru was still causing, Konoha needed all the time it could manage. From what the pair had discovered, such a rift wasn't going to be exploitable. A coup led by one of the daimyo's bastard lines had succeeded, and the new government was much more comfortable with the Raikage. There was still a lingering resentment from decades spent at odds, but the daimyo's samurai forces and Kumogaku's ninja had already been seen working together in maneuvers at half a dozen points across the Lightning Country border. It was unsettling to say the least. We're heading back to Konoha in the morning, Jiraiya said around a mouthful of bland chicken. Neither one of the pair were very good cooks. Why? Naruto asked. Our trip was supposed to be 3 years long, it's only been half that. I've gotten word from Sensei that he's stepping down. Tsunade's taking up the hat, and I need to be there for the ceremony, Jiraiya explained. Why's the old man retiring? He was doing fine last time you said anything. He's retiring because he's earned it, Jiraiya snapped back. He shoved the last piece of chicken at Naruto. Tsunade's been learning how to do the job, and apparently Sensei thinks she's ready. And he's not as young as he used to be. His body's finally catching up with him. He's going to be okay, right? Naruto asked, suddenly worried. Jiraiya waved a hand. He's still got a number of years left, he just doesn't need the stresses of being Hokage anymore. Tsunade's strong enough to do the job, and Sarutobi's been teaching her everything else she needs to know since she returned 2 years ago. You knew Sensei would step down eventually. Hell, he's done it before, so let it go. Naruto sighed. But he's always been the Hokage, you know. I've never thought about anyone else having his job. Except you, Jiraiya snarked. Well, of course. Then the campsite exploded. A bolt of lightning crashed down, striking Naruto square in the chest, who promptly exploded in an amazing wave of heat and force. The real Naruto had switched with an exploding clone the second Jiraiya had offered him the last of the meal. Jiraiya dove out of the nearby tree, dropping the concealment technique he normally used to peep on bathhouses to engage 3 of the cloaked attackers in taijutsu. They were good, but Jiraiya had been fighting for longer than any one of them had been alive. He activated a seal on his right ring finger and thrust his fist at one of his opponents. A visible bolt of chakra flew across the space between them in less than a second, and a 6-inch hole punched its way through the ninja's chest cavity. The other 2 attacked simultaneously, and Jiraiya whipped his coat off his shoulders and flared it in front of him. The cloth expanded and engulfed the 2 attackers. Jiraiya snapped it tight and the captives disappeared inside a pocket dimension built inside the coat. Another squad of Cloud Anbu emerged from the trees, one attacking with visibly crackling fists and another making seals. A trio of electric serpents screamed through the air towards Jiraiya. He avoided them deftly, and slammed his hand against the ground. The earth dissolved and trees sank into the muck of his artificial swamp. 2 of the ninja disappeared beneath the surface, but the other 3 jumped away. Jiraiya grabbed one by the cloak as he charged, sinking a fist into his back and breaking the ninja's spine. Jiraiya parried an electrified fist and broke the ambusher's jaw. He smacked a seal on porcelain mask, and a living flame covered the Cloud Ninja. An overcharged fire jutsu dispatched the last Anbu. Naruto, we're moving, Jiraiya announced when he didn't see Naruto immediately. Listening for any sounds of battle, Jiraiya's heart jumped to his T. He split into 3 and searched for any sign of Naruto. He found where his student put up a good fight, but had obviously lost. Naruto was good, but he apparently wasn't up to fighting off 4 Anbu at once. Jiraiya raced along the trail the capers had left, but it disappeared expertly. Jiraiya turned and sealed away camp and the boss of the Kumo agents he had ked. He summoned a horde of barely larger than usual toads and sent them in every direction, in a vain hope that one of them would be able to find some clue as to where Naruto was being taken. With that done, he raced for the closest body of water. He needed to get back to Konoha fast. Kumo knew he was there, and Naruto had been captured. In a crystal clear lake on the edge of Konoha, a 12-inch tall toad broke the surface. It croaked once before opening its mouth wide, as if to catch a fly. But instead of a sticky tongue, a slimy hand shot out, clawing at the muddy shore. The hand inched its way out, clutching at the ground in an effort to keep from sliding back. The toad's mouth opened impossibly wide, and Jiraiya pushed his way out, covered in juices and a glossy sheen. The Sannin dismissed his summon and grumbled at the travel method, but started moving anyway. He had to get to the Hokage. The door to the Hokage's office slammed open, even as the secretary protested in vain. The toad Sannin rushed through, all but collapsing in the chair. Nice to see you're back, Jiraiya, Sarutobi murmured without looking away from his paperwork. Get in trouble at the hot springs again? He asked with a chuckle. Sarutobi looked up and saw the genuine emotion on his student's face. Jiraiya, what happened? Where's Naruto? He demanded, suddenly serious. Kumo discovered us. I don't know when. They sent 3 squads of Anbu after us, 12 total. They ambushed us, split us apart. I ked the 8 that came at me, but the other 4 got away. They took Naruto with them. I assume he's still alive. There wasn't enough blood for him to be S, and if they were able to get him alive, they'd want to keep him that way for as long as possible. Sarutobi nodded at Jiraiya's report. And the other information? Not promising. I don't know how much of it was staged, since I don't know when they discovered us, but if they are so bold as to attack me directly, we're looking at war, sensei. Sarutobi exhaled sharply through his nose. I was afraid of that. And as much as I hate to admit it, I am not up to running this village through the course of another war. All I can do is hope soon it can rise to the challenge and offer my assistance. Sarutobi stood and brushed off non-existent dust from his robes. We're going to the academy. Jiraiya trailed a step behind his sensei as they walked through the halls of the first Konoha Ninja Academy. It had been decades since he last set foot in the building, and it wasn't anything like what he remembered. Of course, since academy students had a tendency to destroy walls whenever it came time to practice with explosive tags, that wasn't exactly unexpected. Sarutobi entered a classroom without bothering to knock, and a few of the students whispered as they saw the Hokage standing in the doorway. Shino-san, if I could borrow you for a moment. He spared a glance at the students. Class, if you would be so kind as to read silently while I have a word with your instructor. The children rushed to get their books out as Shino limped from the room. He had been injured on a mission to keep Uchiha Sasuke from going to Orochimaru, and it ended his active ninja career. The medic nins were able to reconstruct the crushed bones, but he still walked with a limp and wouldn't ever have the range of motion he once did. However, his injury didn't prevent him from teaching genjutsu at the academy. How can I help you, Hokage-sama? Shino asked as he shut the door. I need to determine if a shinobi is still alive, and as Nara Shikamaru is out on a mission, you are our best choice. If you would please summon a fox. Shino's mind immediately jumped to Naruto, but if the Hokage was speaking so obtusely, he wasn't going to say anything. He nicked his thumb with a kunai and formed the hand seals. Kuchio's no jutsu, he said firmly, smacking his hand against the floor. There was a small cloud of smoke and seconds later a large fox was sitting in the hallway. The fox yawned and looked at Sarutobi. Did you need something, Shino-san? Oh. Hello, Hokage-sama. Naruto-kun has been captured by an enemy village, Sarutobi said. I need to know if he is still alive, and if there is some way to extract him immediately. Something happened to Naruto-sama. The fox asked worriedly. I would have known if Naruto-sama SD, but I can't summon him to myself. Thank you, Sarutobi said. Unless you can think of some way that you can help us, that will be all. You can go back to your class, Shino-san. The Aburame nodded and headed back inside. The Hokage turned to leave and Jiraiya followed closely behind. Once they were outside the academy, Sarutobi spoke up again. Jiraiya, go to Anbu headquarters. Put together a team. I want Naruto back in this country as soon as possible. Who are you? My name is Hanzo the Salamander. Wham. Stand him back up. Stop making this hard on yourself. Tell me who you are. I am Tsunade of the Sannin. Wham. We know you're from Konoha. What is your name? My name is Hatake Sakumo. Wham. You're making me angry. You're making me bored. You're nothing compared to Ibiki. Wham. Naruto bounced once as he was thrown to the concrete floor of his holding cell. He could feel the seals inked around the outside of the cell draining his chakra. They were supposed to keep a prisoner hovering just above chakra exhaustion, but Naruto had more chakra than anything the seals were designed for. Elbow-length gauntlets kept Naruto's hands restrained behind his back, and his legs were held much the same way. He wasn't going to get out of the cell. You know, I'm a little impressed. Naruto peered up at the shadowed figure. One of the punches had opened a cut on his forehead, and the blood was getting in his eyes, but Naruto could tell that this was someone new. The voice was different, smoother, more sophisticated. And why's that? You're still alive, came the simple answer. Frankly, your previous interrogator is still new, and hasn't learned where the line is yet. Where to stop before the subject's body gives out. And that's not even mentioning his atrocious questioning style, but he is still learning, I suppose. But the point I'm getting at is that all his other subjects SD under his questioning, and despite not changing anything about his technique, you're still alive. And you want to know why that is? Naruto filled in the blank, as he felt a genjutsu press on his senses, slowly raising his fear. Not really. Either you're more durable than most, or his other subjects were weak, I don't care. I just care about getting information, to protect my village. But I don't believe you have any information that's worth keeping you alive for. So unless you change my mind in the next 30 seconds, I'm going to KO you, and then go eat lunch. Naruto fidgeted as much as he could for 20 seconds, squirming under the hot lights and dispassionate stare of his interrogator as the genjutsu wormed into his nerves. Just as the knife was produced, Naruto jerked back. Okay, I'll tell you what I know. Just please don't KO me. Everybody SS sometime, or does Konoha no longer teach that? Either way, it's only your information keeping you alive, so I'd start talking. Now. The knife advanced slowly. Alright, here's what I know. The knife paused. Your genjutsu are crap and you talk too much. The knife flashed forward, but the bonds holding Naruto captive slackened, and Naruto spun around, the knife glancing off the metal back of the chair. The bonds fell the rest of the way, and Naruto flung the chains at his interrogator. Naruto threw himself through the air, slamming his knee into the interrogator's soft stomach before pinning the man to the floor with his body weight, controlling his hands. Naruto's shoulder slid underneath the man's chin, and cut off his airflow, suffocating him. As the man beneath him stilled, Naruto checked to see if the man was or merely unconscious. Taking the knife, Naruto the man's tea with a grimace. The knife was barely suitable, hardly sharp at all. It would have to do until Naruto could STS someone else of their weapons. Knowing that someone had to have been watching and would be in any second, Naruto reached back into his mind, touching a presence that hadn't spoken for quite some time. Kyuubi, I need power. The mental presence that Naruto knew to be the world's strongest demon lord stirred. Really, you've been doing so well on your own until now, the demon muttered sarcastically. I don't have time to argue. I need power. I'm going to K everyone in this building, and your chakra will make sure I don't do something stupid like lose an arm because all I have to fight with is a dull knife. Very well, Kyuubi agreed. Naruto's half-healed wounds hissed away as red demonic chakra bubbled out of his tenketsu. The door collapsed inward, and a chakra claw decapitated the Kumo shinobi who entered first, cauterizing the wound as it cut. The second shinobi fared just as poorly, his belly open as Naruto threw him against the opposite wall. Naruto raced down the hall on all fours, a cloak of red chakra hanging over him with two red tails trailing behind him. I've been keeping track of the hallways while you were unconscious. Go down this hallway and take the third right. The alarm sounded and lights flashed as Kumo shinobi poured out of the side rooms. Naruto didn't break stride as he cut him down in the enclosed hallway, taking out legs and arms as they stretched out to meet him, only for the poisonous chakra to burn him as Naruto's tendons and muscle. Naruto nearly fell as he cornered, but his clawed fingers dug into the solid stone floor to stop him from sliding. He dashed down the hall at Kyuubi's instruction, finally seeing a door heavier than any others. It gave him pause for a few seconds as Naruto slammed against the door, destroying the strengthening seals as demonic chakra invaded the designs. The sweet taste of fresh air nearly stopped Naruto, but Naruto knew he couldn't afford to waste any more time. The shouts of a dozen Kumo shinobi announced the ninjutsu that flew at Naruto. Most he dodged, but he still came out singed. Naruto spun to see the building he had been held captive in. Kumo shinobi was still pouring out of the windows, but Naruto didn't care. Without fanfare, Naruto moved through the hand seals he had used most over the past 18 months. Kuchio's no jutsu. Naruto screamed, shooting into the air as his summon appeared. The smoke cleared slowly, but the Kumo shinobi were beginning to panic even before the massive head appeared. Ichiru. These men are enemies of my village. They conspire to destroy my people, and have held me captive. Stand with me, and we will destroy them. Ichiru, the oldest eight-tailed fox and firstborn son of the Kyuubi, snarled and bared teeth bigger than the largest man. For their crimes, they will Ichiru agreed. Good. Naruto dove off Ichiru's head and into the crowd of terrified Kumo shinobi. Udama Rasengan. Jiraiya moved through the trees with the ease of a lifetime of experience. His group had been put together hastily, but they were some of the best. He had even been able to enlist the best tracker in the village, Inazuka and her partner, Kuromaru. We'll rest here for a moment, Jiraiya called, indicating the scouting post Konoha controlled just on the inside of Fire Country's borders. Restock your water rations. We're moving again in 15 minutes. Jiraiya found the restroom and relieved himself, but was accosted the moment he opened the door. Jiraiya-sama, we just received an urgent message from Kumogakur. It bears the Raikage's seal. When exactly did it arrive? Jiraiya asked, his attention now focused on the special Junin in front of him. 3 minutes ago, by a summoned bird, not a normal messenger hawk. I don't know if that changes anything. Where is the message now? We haven't moved it yet. Normally we would send it onto Konoha, but since you're here, we thought it would be a good idea to show it to you. Jiraiya nodded and followed the special Junin to the letter. After a quick scan for any traps, Jiraiya tore open the envelope. To the god I'm Hokage. In response to your blatant offense against the current treaty, I give you one chance to avoid conflict. Send us the head of the shinobi you sent to destroy our posts within 1 week, or Kumogakur will crush your village for your impudence. Rokudaime Raikage. Jiraiya read the letter again to make sure he had understood correctly. He cursed aloud, getting the attention of everyone in the room. He was glad everyone there had enough discipline to keep from asking any questions as he left to find his team. They were nearly ready to leave again, But Jiraiya just raised a hand and everyone fell into a more relaxed position. Stand down for now. I'm suspending the mission for the time being. The situation has changed, and I need more information before we move. What's the situation now? Chum asked. Kumo captured Uzumaki Naruto, and we were going to get him back before they could get any information out of him, or do anything worse. But now, given what I know of Naruto and reading between the lines of the letter we just received, Naruto has escaped captivity and likely burned down most of the countryside on the way. Chum let out a low whistle. So what now? Now, I'm going to track down my student, and the rest of you are going to stay here and wait for my orders. Chum shook her head. I'm a better tracker than you, and no one has a better nose than Kuromaru. Too bad, Jiraiya said as he began to look queasy. I'm already gone. Then the cage Bunshin grimaced and disappeared in a puff of smoke, having been too far from the original Jiraiya, who was already trekking towards Lightning Country. It didn't take Jiraiya long to find out what happened after he crossed into Lightning Country. He had used the toad transport technique to move himself across the two countries separating fire and lightning, and he knew he would pay the price later. As useful as it was, the technique was extremely painful and dangerous to be used twice in such a short period of time. After pulling himself out of the toad's mouth for the second time in less than 48 hours, Jiraiya started scouring the countryside. Kumo ninja were out in force and not bothering to hide their movements, so it wasn't hard for Jiraiya to follow them. What he found shocked him. There was a blackened swath of earth that stretched for miles, apparently Naruto's work. The destruction started at a medium-sized Kumo outpost that had been razed to the ground, and moved in the direction of the border. As Jiraiya followed the destruction, he found that 4 more outposts had been destroyed along the way. Jiraiya was amazed at the destruction Naruto had caused. He had focused a lot of Naruto's training on summoning to take advantage of the boy's huge chakra reserves, and was more than aware of the power the monstrous summons could command. But even he, with decades of experience as a toad summoner, hadn't imagined doing something like this. That will be all for this video. Be sure to like, subscribe, share, and comment down below for more videos. Goodbye.